Buddy, good afternoon. Happy Wednesday. You are tuning in live for our weekly show here in Full Pocket Entrepreneurs. I am Marnie Blythe. I am the CEO of Full Pocket Coaching. I am a business and profitability coach, fractional chief marketing officer, and we help entrepreneurs make more money in less time doing what they're most passionate about that helps the most amount of people. And I am so excited that you guys are here with us today. Let's take a quick minute and welcome all the folks who are joining us right now. We've got Sandy English, we've got Latoya, we've got Christina, we've got Cheryl, we've got Noah. What's up, you guys? If you're excited to be here, give me a heart emoji or put like a number 1 in the comments for me. Let me know if you are excited for today's training. I certainly am excited to be here with you. So it is so cold here in North Carolina. I'm wondering where you are in the world and if it's cold where you are too. Also pop in the comments and tell me where you are in the world and let me know if you are freezing too. Hi, Jackie. I'm glad you're here. We've got lots of heart emojis. I think you guys are ready for today and I'm excited. So a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. This group is growing by leaps and bounds, and I just want to thank you all for inviting your friends and other fellow entrepreneurs. We have a goal of getting to 300 people, and I think we're right around like the 225 mark. So I'd love to request, if you are finding value in these trainings and in the content that we're sharing, please go ahead and invite other people to the group and share the vast amount of knowledge and resources that we are sharing with everybody. Jackie says that she's in Ohio and it's very cold. I just got a message not long ago. Hi, Marissa. Thanks for joining us. Let us know if it's freezing cold where you are too. I just got a message actually from a friend of mine who's in Florida. And sadly, it's so cold in Florida that the iguanas are falling out of the trees and they are freezing too. So it seems that this is a deep freeze happening all over, at least the East Coast. I don't know what's happening in the other parts of the country, but not to worry. The information we're going to share with you today is going to keep you warm and fuzzy in your business. Hi, Erin. Hi, John. So glad you guys are tuning in. If you're excited for today's weekly live show, go ahead and give me a little heart emoji or a number 1 and let me know that you're ready to learn. So we're going to get started. So I wanted to begin by sharing with you, it's really interesting because I'm in a lot of different Facebook groups and you might be also. And a lot for like business people and networking and things like that. Hi, Indy, I'm glad you're here. And one of the questions that I see happen really often, and I just saw it happen yesterday, was somebody asking, what are you doing for marketing? What's working for you? And I started to see some answers like, oh, we do flyers, or oh, we do events, or oh, we've been doing Facebook ads. And so all of these answers are very tactical, right? And so what the purpose of this training today is to start you guys really thinking from moving out of tactical operations, which include, oh, I'm just going to run some Facebook ads, or oh, I'm going to put together some flyers, or I'm going to send out email marketing. And those are all like very tactical ways of operating. And the thing about it is that these things don't often produce the kind of results after you've spent a lot of money on these things that you were hoping for, and thereby really sometimes can be extremely disappointing for you and your business. Listen, we're all small business owners. Every dollar counts. I know you appreciate that. And at the end of the day, we really need to make sure that every single dollar is being used as efficiently as we possibly can make that work for us, and that it's always contributing back to the bottom line. If you agree with that, go ahead and give me like a number 1 or an emoji in the comments while I take a quick drink of water. So another question that I often get is people have hired agencies to come in and they say, why are these agencies not producing the results that I thought they were going to produce? And so there's 2 answers to that question. One might be that they really were just kind of, bottom line. They're trying to kind of get you in and kind of sell you on the program, and, they're trying to make that happen. Or two, you just don't know what you don't know in order to be able to strategically guide that agency to be able to deliver the results that you're looking for. So that's what today's training is about. I'm going to talk about the three biggest mistakes that I see people making in their businesses every day, and we're going to sort of get into that. So the first thing we're going to tackle, which I'm really excited about, is the money hidden in your current business, where the opportunities are immediately on your plate. Because oftentimes we're really focused on what's going on, that we're trying to pull more leads in and things like that, but we're not as focused on what we actually currently have in our stable and what are the things that we're doing in our business right now to be able to go out and generate those things. So I'm going to tell you guys what I'm going to cover first so that you have a framework. So if you don't have a pen and paper handy, I'm going to give you a second. Grab yourself a pen and paper. I promise you guys this is going to be really good stuff, and I want you to take notes. So grab yourself a pen and paper, and I'm going to share with you first what I'm going to cover just in a very top line form. Then I'm going to go through each of these different bullet points. And if you have questions as I'm going through this, go ahead, put it in the comments, and I will absolutely loop back with you, and we can answer those questions. So get your pen and paper ready. So the first thing is, do people understand what you do and who you serve? Okay, that's mistake number one. We're going to talk about that. Mistake number two, you haven't recently laid out your goals and KPIs. What is a KPI? A key performance indicator. So those, that's number one. Number two, we're going to go into that. And then number three is going to be clearly defining your customer avatar or your various buyer personas. So those are the three things that I'm going to get ready to jump in and start covering with you right now. Okay, so how do you pitch your business, and how does your staff pitch your business? Okay, this is incredibly important. And we're talking right now, the first thing is about your 60-second elevator pitch. Can't tell you how often, and you might have had this experience before, you go to an event and you ask somebody, what do they do? And they give you this huge, long, fluffy answer. And at the end of the day, you're not really sure really what it is that they actually do and who they serve and who a great referral for them would be. And so I want to talk to you about the fact that the elevator pitch is a brief description of your business, okay? You literally have 5 seconds to talk to somebody and explain to them who you are, what you do, and who you do this for, okay? So this should be included as a part of your strategic plan since it's key to your business's success. And oftentimes this should be updated annually. Our businesses are fluid. We are fluid. The only thing we can count on is that things change. And as you evolve and your business evolves and your staff evolve, you need to make sure that everybody is on the same page and is talking about your business in the same way, okay? So if your employees can't clearly and concisely articulate your business to others, you are inevitably missing out on tons of sales and other opportunities. So every time you guys tune in, whenever you hear me, you always hear me talk about who I am and what I do, right? I tell you that I am the CEO of Full Pocket Coaching. I am a business and profitability coach and a fractional chief marketing officer. The longer version is that I work with aspiring and current 6- and 7-figure a year earners who are interested in making more money in less time doing what they're most passionate about that helps the most amount of people, right? So this is what the underlying strategy is. So you know who I am, who I like to work with, and who I serve, right? And what it is that I do for them. So if you haven't recently reviewed that, that's a very important thing. So share who you serve, what you do, and the result that you get for people. Don't try to be cute. fancy, overly descriptive to the point that no one besides you even understands what you do. And this will kill your ability to generate leads, you guys. So I want you to be so simple. Go and try to explain what you do to, your 4 or 5-year-old daughter or son and see if they understand what you do. Because we just need to make sure that we're keeping this extremely simple and that then people can take those sound bites and be able to share it with other people. Very important. So you're going to use this when you introduce yourself, in your bios everywhere. When somebody asks you what you do, when you sell your products, your programs, your services, on your social media, on your landing pages. And again, people have maybe a 3-second attention span. So you want to use that really wisely. So you're going to keep it short. You're going to keep it simple. You're going to be specific. And you can also feel free to add a caveat regarding the most common objection or concern or hesitation that that people have when working with you or potentially working with you. So you can let them know, for example, that, for me, sometimes I work with people and they have some fear around scaling their business online, for example, and that when I work with people, I help them to move through that kind of fear or whatever that might look like. So that is the first point, is that we want you to have your 60-second elevator pitch down. A great resource for you to do is to download Google Business Networking International, BNI. They have a 60-second elevator pitch commercial sort of template. I love that. That's very helpful in getting really clear. Many years ago, when I first moved to North Carolina, I was a part of BNI, and Steve Hand is actually a part of this group. There's lots of people who are a part of this group who I met and built relationships with almost 10 years ago to this day. So quick plug for BNI right there. But if that's making sense for you guys, give me a little emoji in the comments and let me know that that makes sense. And if you want to put your elevator pitch in the comments, feel free to do that, or you could also put your elevator pitch in the actual page, and let's see what you guys are working with. It's a great opportunity for you to also promote your business to other business owners who are here. So let me see your pitches. Okay, so this is mistake number 2, and this is going to be the meatier part of this training today. So I want you to think about, when is the last time that you got really, really dirty with your numbers? That sounds kind of weird, but you got into the dirt of it, into the basis of your goals and your key performance indicators in your business. So guys, this is where we're talking about working on your business instead of in your business. And I will be super honest with you, I have been really guilty of doing a poor job of working in my business, on my business instead of in my business. So Full Pocket Coaching for me, I started it 3 years ago. I have been doing marketing, sales, communications work, both corporately and on my own, for probably the latter part of 15 to 20 years. And I am very blessed to work with amazing people. And what I've done for all this time is I've been in their businesses and helping them create these huge successes. But then it was like the cobbler's kids have no shoes, because my social was lacking. I wasn't really in providing thought leadership and being with people just like you right now here live, showing you that, hey, I actually know what I'm talking about. So I want you to set aside time every week, and I want you to covet that time. I want you to put it on your calendar. So get your pen and paper, make a big star, and I want you to say, I'm going to spend time every week working on my business. And this is where I want you to go. And this is the question that I ask every single person that I work with one-on-one. What is the one thing in your business that makes you the most amount of money in the least amount of time, that you are the most passionate about, that you want to, and that will help the most amount of people, that you can literally do all day long? And so think about it for a minute. What is that for you in your business? Now, you might not know the answer to that off the bat, and that is okay if you don't know the answer. The way that you can get clarity on that answer is that you need to go and look at all the products and all the services that you have, and you need to figure out where do you have the biggest profit margin, okay? That might require Excel spreadsheets. That might require a conversation with your CPA. You might know it off the top of your head. And if you know it off the top of your head, that's phenomenal. And if you're looking for somewhere to focus, I would say to you, set goals around what is that one thing that you love to do, that you can do all the time, where you're going to help a lot of people and you're going to create massive amounts of revenue in your business. It's interesting because probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I had this conversation with my father. And my dad's an entrepreneur. He started a plumbing business after my grandfather had started a plumbing business. Well, the original one was in 1916. And my dad had created this massive business, and he was doing huge jobs. And, I'm talking like, multiple six-figure type of jobs. But here's the thing. Just because the money is bigger doesn't mean the profit margin is bigger, okay? If I were to tell you, oh, I'm getting lots of hearts, this is cool. If I were to tell you, you can do this job for $600,000 and make 10% profit margin, or you can do this job for $100,000 and have a 40 or 50% profit margin, what would you choose? Obviously, the bigger profit margin. So bigger, more products, more services doesn't always mean better. I learned this when I got my proverbial MBA, when I had my holistic health and fitness center here in our town, Holly Springs, North Carolina. And I had so many different lines of business, and my thinking at that time was, okay, I want to diversify the amount of things that people can purchase, and then I'm going to have all these different things, and then I'm going to see what out of all of these things makes the most money, and then I'm going to focus on that, right? Well, the problem with that is that my time was very limited, right? I was wearing so many hats, which we all do as entrepreneurs, and because I couldn't really get focused into one particular thing, it was very, very challenging for me to really make any one area super successful until I narrowed my focus. So, long-winded way of saying, get focused on what's ringing the cash register. If this is resonating for you, give me some dollar signs in the comments while I take another drink of water. Awesome. Okay, cool. So I want you to identify now, after you have figured that out, what your goals are. And again, this is about working on the business, not just in the business. So first, I want you to look at your 5-year or your long-term goals. And this, obviously, we're talking business here, but this might be fun to do personally also. And, something like a goal without a plan, is just kind of like talking through it, or I can't remember the exact expression, but basically, if you don't set anything, then we have nothing that we're working towards. So this can be something that has flexibility, and you don't have to necessarily stick to it precisely, but I want you to do the work and do the exercise of actually thinking about, where do I want to be with my business in 5 years, and perhaps where do I want to be personally in 5 years. Next, I want you to pull that back to your 1-year goal. That is what you must achieve in the next year for it to be successful and to put your company on the right trajectory to achieving the 5-year goal, okay? Then work backwards 2 more times to determine your goals for the next quarter and then the next month, okay? And so I want you to look at updating the strategic plan monthly so that you can continually be modifying this section. And within that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to set up what we call our key performance indicators. Okay, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of the KPIs. If you have heard of KPIs and you are actively doing those, having them in your business, put the word KPI in the comments for me. I'm curious who is familiar with this terminology and is working with it right now, but let me define it for you so you understand. Okay, so a KPI are specific numerical marketing or sales metrics that organizations track in order to measure their progress towards a defined goal within your marketing channels, okay? So the thing about, and the reason why it's important for you to do this work is that we don't want you supporting a marketing activity that's losing you money, okay? Again, at the end of the day, people hire me because I help them make money. Okay, you want to make money in your business, and anybody that you work with as far as a vendor goes, whether that's a digital marketing agency, that's somebody who is, managing your social media or your email marketing, or who is part of your sales team, we want all of this to come back to the bottom line. And if you are not specifically tracking these things, then you don't really have a good grasp on where your money is going, and that is a problem, okay? So the first KPI that I want you to write down is your sales growth, okay? Sales growth. And at the end of the day, the best way to judge your marketing success is by measuring its growth in sales revenue, okay? So you have to have a strong stomach to do this. And if you haven't been doing this before, it's okay. Take a breath. It's okay. And if you have been doing it before, but maybe you haven't been consistent with doing it, that's okay. But I really want you to think about moving forward, what does my sales growth look like, okay? We've got more people joining us. We've got Raphael, we've got Ebo and Carol and Brianna, Christina, Ben and Kathy, Leah, Leanne, Estella, oh my gosh, Liz, you guys, I'm so excited you have so many people here. Okay, so the sales growth, okay? Once you start measuring your marketing's effect on sales growth, it will initially take some adjusting to weed out the marketing that does actually drive your sales, okay? So there has to be a direct correlation between the marketing activities that you're doing and the sales that it is producing for you. Now, just understand that this is not a magic bullet where you start doing marketing and then the very next day you measure it and you say, oh, it's not working, okay? This is something that obviously takes a little bit of time, and this is a long-term strategy, okay, to be measuring and making sure that where you're allocating your marketing dollars have a direct implication and you're seeing the bottom line results, okay? So measuring your sales growth is vital to the long-term health of your company. So not only does it serve as a good indicator when it comes to strategic planning, but it also allows for the identification of growth trends. So the other thing often is I want you to remember not to be shy in sharing your sales revenue with your employees, because what this will do is it will help to instill a sense of ownership within your workforce. And it reinforces that everybody is in the same boat navigating towards the same end goals. So you need to have a platform, ideally, to be tracking your metrics and these KPIs. DataBox is a cool platform, and that will tie in with HubSpot if you guys are interested in having a platform that will work for you. Excel spreadsheets can get a little bulky, but that's okay. I don't care how you're tracking it, as long as it's a system that is working for you. So if this is making sense to you, give me a little comment, give me maybe a heart or give me a thumbs up or something like that. Okay, Kimberly, you say you have to hop off and record a podcast, but you're going to definitely catch up later. Awesome. I see Joanna's joining us. Wonderful. And we've got Miss Andrea and Christy and Marky. Thank you all for joining us today. I want to do a quick reminder that if this is making sense for you and you're enjoying being a part of this group, I would so appreciate you sharing this with other people. I have a goal of getting to 300 members as soon as possible, so please share this with your friends. Okay, so moving on to the next part of this. Leads, okay? This is simple math. The more leads you get, the more sales opportunities you have. And the more sales opportunities you have, the better your chances of sales growth are, okay? So this is basically marketing. The marketing and sales department is comparable to the importance of like gasoline to an automobile. It's what drives everything, right? So not all leads are created equal. And this is an important distinction, okay? So we talk about lead scoring and understanding that somebody who comes into the funnel, not all the leads are created equal, okay? And there's two different types of leads that we can look at. So there is a MQL, a marketing qualified lead, and a sales qualified lead, okay? And these people are just at different life stages, life cycle stages of the buying process, okay? So let me explain the distinction between the two. A marketing qualified lead is a contact who has engaged with your marketing efforts, but they're not ready to get that sales call yet. So an example of a contact, an MQL, is a contact who might have responded to a specific form on your website. Maybe they've joined your email list. They've somehow engaged with your content. Maybe they've liked your content on your website, but they may not be ready for you to pick up the phone and start to sell them anything, right? When they become a MQL, that is the time when you have to start creating like credibility and trust and building your thought leadership. We've been talking a lot about this idea of your authentic business self, of not jumping the gun when you're building rapport and relationship with people. If you want more training and you're new to this this group, I'd highly recommend going into the units tab. We have like this group, it's a social learning group here at Full Pocket Entrepreneurs. Watch some of those other trainings and start to understand that there is a process to how we move people from cold to close, and it doesn't just happen automatically. We have to build rapport, like, and trust. Okay, so a sales qualified lead, you guys probably already know what this means, is a contact who has indicated through their actions that they are ready for a sales follow-up. So an example of an SQL is a contact who submits a question about a product, perhaps through a contact form on your website, or they might have sent you a private message on your Facebook page, something like that, right? So those are the people that are actually ready to potentially purchase from you, okay? So that's the second measure, is leads, right? And so I want you to start kind of getting these KPIs straight in your mind. And the third KPI we're going to talk about on today's training, and you guys, if you look up KPIs, there are literally hundreds of them, but I'm just talking today briefly about a couple of them so you have an idea. So this one is quoted to closed, your customer ratio. And the reason that this is so important is because this is all going to go back to the original strategic thinking that you had when you did your goal setting of how much money you want to make and in what period of time. It all comes down to numbers, right? And then all of your marketing tactics then support the strategic oversight of what you want to create. So if you simply just go spend money on a Facebook ad or on email marketing or doing all of these tactical things, it's not going to make sense. So basically, this quoted to closed customer ratio is your close ratio, right? How many people you actually move to purchasing it. And so what I want you to start really looking at is, of all the prospects you or your sales team quote, how many end up actually closing and becoming a customer, okay? And is this ratio higher or lower than last year? Why? What can you do to improve these things? I have a particular client that I'm working with, and her close ratio right now is on the lower side. She's only closing about 30% of the people that are coming through the door. And we did some secret shopper work with her, and we realized that the person who was selling me the product never even asked me if I was interested in purchasing anything additional, right? So there are definitely steps that we need to be following to see how we can improve our close ratio and things like that. If you have more questions about those kinds of things, feel free to send me a private message or anything that I'm covering here today. You can feel free to always reach out to me. We're always available to answer questions for you. So the next thing is, how many sales conversations do you have to have in order to reach the kind of sales growth you need to hit your financial goals, okay? So I'm going to give you a very specific example of this, okay? So it's a numbers game. That is always what this comes down to, okay? You have to know your numbers, backwards and forwards. If you're a newer entrepreneur and you're watching this, I cannot encourage you enough. I want you to know exactly where every dollar in your business is going. If you've been an entrepreneur for a while and perhaps you've dropped the ball on this, let's get back to it, okay? So, excuse me. Okay, so if I know that I want to make $100,000 in new sales gross, okay? Excuse me, net. If I want to net $100,000, I will need to gross about 200,000, okay? Because in an ideal world, 50%, actually 150,000. I kind of did my numbers incorrectly here, but let's talk about it. Okay, so 100,000, if I want to net 100,000, then I want to really aim to do 150 to 200,000 in gross, knowing that I'm going to have to pay expenses, I'm going to have to pay taxes, things of that nature, okay? So let's say my product or service is $10,000. So I'll need to sell 20 of those products or services to get to that $100,000 number, okay? So let's say I've been tracking my closing ratio and I close 50% of the sales qualified leads that I have a sales conversation with. So in order to get to 20 sales, I'll need to have at least 40 to 50 sales conversations. Is this making sense to you guys? Let me make sure that I say this again. Okay, so if I want to get to that like gross number, just say of 100,000, and then obviously you guys know that on top of that, if you want to net the 100, you've got to have to make more than that, right? Because you've got expenses and you've got taxes, etc. So, and I close 50% of the sales qualified leads, I'll need to get 20 sales. So I'll need to have at least 40 to 50 sales conversations. To get 40 to 50 sales conversations, I'll need to fill the top of my funnel with probably 1,000 to 1,500 leads, okay? Is this making sense to you guys? If it's making sense to you, just put a little note for me in the comments. I want to make sure that this is really clear. So you can average that probably 2 to 5% of your leads at the top of your funnel will end up becoming your customers. So you have to make sure that the tactical marketing efforts are going to get you the number of leads that you need in order to bring them through your marketing funnel, and then bring them through your sales process in order to have them come out at the bottom for you to be able to make the kind of money that we're talking about, okay? So now that you know that, you can really direct your marketing efforts to ensure that you're reaching enough people to deliver on your goals. So as I've been talking about a lot, that is really usually the biggest issue here for people, is that you just aren't clear and have super specific clarity around what it is you're trying to create. That way that we can then figure out, okay, where tactically do we now need to go in order to make that make sense? So finally, now that you're clear on your numbers and you understand some of these KPIs, and again, this is not an exhaustive list of KPIs, you guys. We don't have a ton of time to spend on this today. I want you to make sure that you've done the work to clearly define your customer avatar, or what we call the buyer persona, okay? And I work with people all the time who are super successful, but maybe they've just gotten to a plateau in their business and they haven't done the work to really clearly identify who that perfect client is that they want to attract, okay? So if you haven't built it, they won't come. Remember that movie Field of Dreams from years ago? If you haven't been specific on the materials and the way you're going to build it and who you want to build it for, it doesn't come together. So to scale and growth and keep acquisition and cost and time and down, we have to be really clear about who we're for and who we're not for, okay? So this is where your buyer personas and your client avatars come in, okay? So we can refer to them as a client avatar, a buyer persona, a marketing persona. And this is really, I think I did some work in the group on this last week. I think I have a couple of videos on this already, but these are fictional, generalized representations of your ideal customer, okay? So this buyer persona is going to help you in all the aspects of your tactical marketing. Marketing is going to help you in sales and services, and it's going to help you to internalize the ideal customer that you're trying to attract and relate to people as a real human being, okay? Authentic business self. We are being authentic. We are being real with people. We are being vulnerable. And we are understanding that we are sort of all humans on this planet and we have a lot of buying choices to make. And so we really need to articulate to people who are in that realm, you know, who we are, why we're the best for this, and making sure that we're really driving our content, our product development, our sales follow-up, and really anything that relates into customer acquisition and retention around these buyer personas. So get your pens ready. There are 5 major components to a customer avatar, okay? What are their goals and values? Where do they get their sources of information? What is their demographic and psychographic information? What are their challenges and pain points? And what would be their objections in the buying process? So I want you guys to really do some work to figure out who is the ideal person. Are they male? Are they female? What age are they? You know, so for example, for me, my ideal client avatar is probably you. You're a service-based, aspiring, or current 6 or 7 figure a year entrepreneur. You are already seeing great success in your business, but you're ready to take it to the next level. You are on Facebook and other social media platforms, and you're interested in cutting edge sales and marketing and communications. And so I have done that work to attract you. And I have told people who are already in this group, hey, these are the kind of people I want to help and I want to serve, right? So I want you guys to be doing this work yourself. I do have actually a worksheet as well that we have put together, which Jackie can go ahead and pop up for you guys. If you just go in the feed, there is a avatar worksheet that we've put together for you, totally free. I'd encourage you to fill it out. And again, if you guys have questions, please go ahead, feel free to private message me. If you fill out your avatar and you want more help and you're like, I'm stuck, or you know, you're working on any of these sort of elements, your 60-second pitch, or you're working on your KPIs, certainly reach out to me. I want to ask you guys again, if you would please consider sharing this this group with the people who are in your inner circle who could use some extra help and guidance as well. And so let me just kind of go ahead and back and we'll recap the things that we talked about today. Okay, so 1 is operating strategically versus tactically will save you money, it will save you time, it will save you effort, okay? So first and foremost, do people understand what you do and who you serve? I want you to get really super clear on that. And I'm going to give you a challenge. Why don't you guys do a Facebook Live right here in our group and pitch us your 60-second elevator pitch, okay? There's your challenge. I'd love to hear you. And you know what? You're going to get the opportunity to get in front of all the people who are in this group. So, you know, present your services. We would love to hear from you. And maybe I'll just throw in a special bonus or gift to the first person who gets on and does it. So there's your challenge. I can't wait to see who goes and steps up for this. Okay, so that's number 1. Do people understand what you do and who you serve? Okay, that's the first thing. 2, have you recently laid out your goals and key performance indicators? Okay, I want you to look at your sales growth and lay out where you want to get to. What is your bottom line number that you want to be bringing home net after you've paid expenses and you've also paid your taxes? Got to give Uncle Sam. Leads, how many leads do you actually need to get in order to reach the goals that you are looking for? What is your quoted to closed customer ratio? Okay, this is all within that KPI and goal area. And then number 3, clearly define your customer avatar and your buying personas. So that way we can go ahead and be targeting and know what platforms. Thank you, Tassel. I'm glad you love this. I'm glad you're loving it too, Joanna. What platforms they're on, right? Like, so if you've got a product or service and you know you're selling to teenagers, then you're going to be on TikTok. I got an email about TikTok today. I can't even keep up with all these platforms, right? If you're B2B, LinkedIn is going to be your jam. That's where you're going to want to exhibit your thought leadership. If you are B2C, you know, Facebook and Instagram and Pinterest and these other social platforms are going to be where you're going to be at. So we really need to figure out where are our ideal clients living, working, playing. And then we can have both an online and an offline integrated, very sharp, strategic, smart business plan, marketing plan, sales pipeline. So that way, at the end of the day, we're ringing the cash register and we don't say, oh man, that thing that I just invested in didn't work again. And then we're back in this place where we're feeling frustrated and aggravated and things of that nature. So thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I really appreciate your time. I'm just going to take a quick scroll through the comments and make sure that I haven't missed any questions. And Joanna is giving me lots of hearts. I love that. Stephen, David Elliott, and Lindsay, and Mary, and Stephanie, and Leisha. Oh my goodness. Hi, everybody. Michelle and Dave and Danielle. We've got lots of people joining in. I want to just thank you again. We are going to be live again next Wednesday at 12:30. And I'm going to talk to you more about getting comfortable on camera, because you can do exactly what I'm doing right now. And the best part about video is there is nothing like it to be able to help people to get to know you and your authentic business self. And I'm so excited to share that training with you next week. So make sure you mark your calendars, invite your friends, PM me if you have questions, concerns, thoughts, you want to run something by me. I would love to chat with you. I hope you all have a wonderful day today. And thank you again so much for tuning in. This is truly one of the best parts of my week, when I get to be with you and just kind of talk to you about all these things that are always in my brain and that I get to work with clients with. And again, I hope you have an awesome day today. And thank you again. Bye.